that on, wouldn't you? Okay, there we go. I can always tell by the look on his face. I wanted to do this on a Wednesday night. I really liked it. I think that we'd have a lot of discussion about it. So you watch me tonight, and after this, if you have some discussion, we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about a man by the name of Gehazi. Gehazi. And if you'll go ahead and turn in your Bibles to 2 Kings chapter 5, we'll be almost all the time. It'll be very rare will we go out of 2 Kings chapter 5. There are a couple of scriptures I think I'm going to read, but all of it will come. The majority of the lesson will come from 2 Kings chapter 5. This is an interesting chapter. It involves Elisha, the prophet of God. He's called a man of God. He worked more miracles than any man in the Old Testament. He was amazing as a prophet. Elisha was not like his teacher Elijah. Elijah, his ministry was kind of confrontational, but Elisha, it was long, it was productive, it was controlled. And so in this chapter also we have some interesting people that are in it. A young Jewish girl was captured by Naaman, the Syrian commander. She was captured by him and taken to a foreign land and became the servant of his wife in that foreign land. We never learned her name. We don't know what her name was, but what's interesting is because she cared about Naaman, and that's who we're going to be talking about, her master. Because of that, her life made a difference. Isn't it amazing how somebody you never even know the name of, this young girl, made a difference in his life? And we're going to see that. Even though we don't know what her name was, she made that great difference. We'll also see the Syrian army commander. It's Naaman. He was a Gentile. He was an enemy of Israel. And what happened to him made a lasting difference on his life in the name of God. His name was Naaman. He was the commander of the Syrian army. He was a bold and daring and great general, and his king depended on him. But he had a terrible disease, and that's leprosy. And so Elisha will tell him what to do to be healed, but you'll have to see in a minute how he does that. And most of us already know, but I'll remind you, I'll refresh your memory. We have the faithful servant of Elisha. His name is Gehazi. He accepted what Elisha had rejected from Naaman and caused really a blot in Elisha's ministry. There's an old saying I heard one time, I can take care of my enemies, but it's my friends I can't handle. I think that's the way it goes. Anyway, so it's true here. Naaman wants to be healed from this leprosy, and he was a brave and confident soldier, and his king depended on him. He depended on his leadership of his army. So Naaman has leprosy. It has no cure. And the only future looking for Naaman is one of long suffering and a terrible death. And so he's well thought of. He's even well thought of by this young Jewish girl that he captured in Israel and took back to his home. In 2 Kings chapter 5, beginning at verse 3. At verse 3. We'll read 3 through 5. She said to her mistress, and that's Naaman's wife, I wish that my master were with the prophet who is in Samaria. Then he would cure him of leprosy. And Naaman went in and told his master, who is the king, saying, Thus and thus spoke the girl who is from the land of Israel. Then the king of Aram said, Go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel. He departed and took with him, now look at this, 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of I guess, top-of-the-line clothing. Anyway, he's taking a lot with him. He's taking a lot of money with him because they think that he's going to have to pay money to do this. So Naaman gets permission from the king, and what's really amazing is when he gives him a letter. And so Naaman is going to take that letter with him to Israel and give it to the king of Israel, saying, here is my soldier, he's the commander of my army, he has leprosy, and I understand that you can cure him of leprosy. Well, what do you think the king of Israel thought? The king of Israel just went berserk. He thought that the king of Syria was trying to start a war with him because he thought that the king of Syria wanted this king of Israel to cure him of leprosy. That's not what the letter said. That's not what it was intended to. He was just introducing Naaman and saying Naaman needs to go, whoever you have, to cure him of leprosy. So he thinks it's him, and so he's having a fit, and all of a sudden Elisha hears about it, and he calms everybody down and sends a note, or his servant, and says, send him to me, and I'll take care of that. It's really amazing when you read it. It'll be a lot better than me just telling you right there. So Naaman takes his entourage. I mean, he's got an entourage with him. He's got all these chariots, and he's got this army, and he's got I don't know how they're carrying all the 6,000 shekels of gold and all this other stuff. I don't know how he's carrying all that. So wagons or whatever. So they show up at Elisha's front door. I mean, they show up at his house. And so this great commander, Naaman, he walks up and he stands on Elisha's house by his door, knocks on the door. But guess what? Elisha doesn't even come to the door. He sends Gehazi out there, or some other servant, and the servant tells him what to do. The Gehazi, if it's him, he speaks to Naaman, and he tells him that Elisha said, this is what you need to do to be cured of leprosy. You need to go down to the Jordan River and dip 7 times, and you'll be healed. And that didn't appear too good for Naaman. In fact, Naaman, it appears like Elisha's rude, maybe. I don't know. But we know God doesn't show preferential treatment. Anybody in the world would be thrilled to have Naaman come to you, be your guest. But we see right away Naaman's reaction. He can't believe it. He can't believe it. He didn't come out of his house. He just sent his servant out there to tell me what to do. And so look at verse 11 and 12. But Naaman was furious and went away and said, behold, now look at this. I thought he would surely come out to me, stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. He's wanting to show, isn't he? He's wanting to put on a show for him. Are not the Abana and Pharpar rivers in Damascus better than all the waters in Israel? Couldn't I just go wash in them and be clean? So he turned away and went away in a rage, because he didn't think that the dirty Jordan River was good enough, and he's got 2 rivers in Damascus that are way better than that one. And so Naaman was fortunate. He was lucky, I'll say it that way. Naaman is very lucky that he has a servant girl, and not the servant girl, but his servants that are with him, and his soldiers who care about him. He is a very lucky man that happened. They changed his mind. Look at verse 14. Oh, well, look at verse 13. That's the one they talked to him. The people who his own servants talked to him because they deeply cared for him. Verse 13. Then his servants came near and spoke to him and said, my father, had the prophets told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean? So Naaman got to thinking about that. Maybe, maybe that's right. Maybe I should listen to what they're saying. And so Naaman changed his mind, and he obeyed Elisha. In verse 14, he went down, dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And let me tell you, Naaman's very thankful too. Naaman returned to Elisha's home. He's been healed of leprosy. He's humble and he's grateful and he's thankful. And he wants to pay Elisha money. But Elisha refuses to accept it. In fact, notice the change in Naaman. This is really wonderful right here. 2 Kings 5, verse 15 through 17. When he returned to the man of God and all his company, he's taking everybody back with him. He came and stood before him, and he said, "Behold now, I know that there is no God in all the earth." Now, he's a heathen. "In all the earth, but in Israel. So please take a present from your servant now." But he, I'm talking about Elisha, said, "As the Lord lives, before whom I stand, I will take nothing." He doesn't want anything because God did it, didn't he? Not him. And so he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, "If not, please let your servant at least be given 2 mules load of earth, for your servant will no longer offer burnt offerings, nor will he sacrifice to other gods, but to the Lord." He knows now, doesn't he? His eyes have been opened. Now comes the problem. Now comes the problem. And because of Gehazi. Gehazi is a man that I'm going to say it this way. He ruins it all. He ruins it. And it's all because of greed. Elisha could have used the money. There is no doubt. Elisha could have used that money. He had what I'm just going to call a preacher school. I don't know what they called it back then for prophets. A prophet school, I don't know. For Jews anyway. And the money could have been used for a good cause. But Elisha was a man without a price, and I want you to keep that in mind. He was a man without a price. He wanted Naaman to learn about God, and Naaman did. It was Almighty God who healed him, not Elisha. And Elisha wanted Naaman to understand this. And so, but all this was not in the heart of Gehazi. He had a different heart. He has a different one. And so Naaman leaves to go to his home, and Gehazi takes off and catches up with Naaman and his entourage. And Elisha knows nothing about this. Elisha doesn't have a clue that what Gehazi is doing, that he's gone to Naaman. He doesn't know Gehazi did, and Naaman doesn't know that Gehazi did this on his own. He's thinking, well, I guess Elisha sent him. Look at verse 20 and 24. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, man of God, thought, he's thinking to himself, "Behold, my master has spared this Naaman the Aramean by not receiving from his hands what he brought. As the Lord lives, I will run after him and I will take something from him." So Gehazi pursued Naaman. When Naaman saw one running after him, what did he do? He stopped the chariot. He came down from his chariot to meet him and said, "Is all well?" And Gehazi says, all is well. "My master has sent me." Is that what happened? No, it's not. "My master has sent me, saying, Behold, just now 2 young men, the sons of the prophets, have come to me from hill country of Ephraim. Please give them a talent of silver and 2 changes of gold. 2 changes of clothes, Naaman said, "Be pleased not to take 1 talent of gold, but 2 talents of gold." And he urged him and bound 2 talents of silver, not gold, in 2 bags with 2 changes of clothes. And he gave them, Naaman did, to his 2 servants there, and they carried them before him. And when he came to the hill, he took them from their hand and deposited them into his house, into Naaman's house, and he sent them away, and they departed. It's pretty clear what old Gehazi did there. There's no doubt what he did. But it isn't over. It isn't over. Gehazi tells Naaman that Elisha sent him. He tells them these two men are going to this preaching school and they needed money and clothes, and Naaman, instead of giving him one bag of silver talents, gives him 2 bags of silver. Naaman's 2 men carried this stuff all the way to a hill below the house or above the house. And then Gehazi took it from them and took it to Elisha's home. And the 2 men went on their way back to Naaman. Gehazi, he thinks he's got away with this. He thinks he's got away with it. But Elisha knows what he has done. Look at verse 25 through 27. But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said to him, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" And he said, "Your servant went nowhere." And then he said to him, "Did not my heart go with you when the man turned from his chariot to meet you?" He saw it. Is it a time to receive money and to receive clothes? And then he goes on to use some other things. Olive groves, vineyards, sheep and oxen, male and female servants. Therefore, he says, the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever. So he went out of his presence as a leper, white as snow. So not only did he inherit Naaman's leprosy, but all of his descendants will have leprosy. That's quite a price to pay for what he did. Gehazi, he paid a dear price for his lies and his heart. Leprosy of Naaman's now on Gehazi, not only him but his descendants too. And Gehazi left the presence of Elisha as a leper, and he's white as snow with leprosy. Naaman, the problem is Naaman probably never knew. Probably he never knew that Elisha didn't send him. He never knew that. Maybe he did. I would like to think he did. But he may not have ever knew what that Gehazi did this. Naaman may even, see, here's the problem. He's a heathen. He may have even thought to himself, well, that just goes to show you that even them Jews are just like us after all. They want the money. They took the money. So you can see how it ruined Elisha's reputation right there. Achan ruined all his... It reminds me, I should tell you this before I say this, it reminds me of several other things. Achan ruined all Israel for Jericho, because of Jericho, didn't he? He disobeyed God. Judas took 30 pieces of silver to betray Jesus. Demas left Paul for all the things of the world. Just left him in prison. So we have examples of more than just Gehazi. But Gehazi ruined the reputation of Elisha for Naaman, for just a lot of money and for clothes. And it just, what I see, it just takes one hypocrite to harm the reputation of the Lord's church and that person, both. It takes a lot of things to build a friendship, but it only takes one thing to ruin it, doesn't it? So why did Gehazi do all this? Why did he do this? We know why. There's 3 reasons. First thing in his mind, he rationalized. Isn't that what we do sometimes? When we do something we know is wrong and we rationalize. Gehazi thinks, here's what he's thinking in his mind. Well, Naaman, he's rich. He's got all this 6,000 shekels or whatever. And he's got all of these bags of silver. All of this. So he rationalizes and he thinks to himself that Naaman is rich. And whatever he gives me that I ask for, he'll gladly give it because he's been cured of leprosy. I mean, I could see what he's thinking maybe in his heart. I will tell him to give, and he'll feel better if he gives it to me. Can't you see him rationalize like that? I can. And maybe on and on things went through his mind besides what I've just said. It's easy to rationalize for something when we want it desperately, isn't it? We can rationalize when there is something that we want and we want it desperately. Some people will do or say anything to get it. And we know the second one, greed. He did it for greed. Gehazi, he didn't rob anybody. He didn't murder anybody. He didn't embezzle anybody. He just told lies. He told lies to Elisha and he told lies to Naaman. Gehazi was basically good. He was basically good in serving Elisha. He was a faithful servant to him. But he was overcome. Easy money. Today, many find it hard to reject success. Many find it hard to reject having a famous name or power or position. You see that in Washington, D.C. all the time, don't you? It's power struggles that go on constantly. He was overcome. Easy money. He became corrupt. And so the third thing that we see is lying. Lying. It might be easy to say that word, lying. But Gehazi lied both to Naaman and Elisha. It's tempting to lie when we think we can benefit from it, isn't it? If we think we can benefit, we might stretch it just a little. That's what he did. It's tempting to lie when Gehazi knew he could benefit. Proverbs 12 and verse 22 says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal faithfully are his delight. And that's true. Proverbs 6 and verse 16, God hates 7 things, and what's one of those things? Lying. Lying is one of those things. So, Gehazi paid a terrible price for his actions. Leprosy for him and his descendants forever. Gehazi was a good and faithful servant to Elisha through all this, before this. But he may have stayed with him. The truth is, Gehazi is a man who just blew it. That's what I say. That's my words. He just blew it. He apparently stayed with Elisha. If you go on to 2 Kings chapter 8 and verses 4 through 8, Elisha, it looks like he still serves Elisha. He defended Elisha to the king, a king of Israel. In verses 4 through 8 of 2 Kings 8, Elisha still serves him, apparently, and defends him before the king of Israel. So Gehazi, I guess you could say he learned from all this. He learned from all this, but he had the leprosy. But he may have leprosy, but hopefully he has a changed heart to go with it. As Christians then, so what message do we get? We have to ask ourselves, by the life I live, by the life that I'm living every day, am I ruining the reputation of Jesus Christ and the reputation of this congregation? We have to ask ourselves that. That wakes us up most of the time when we come to ourselves. Another question is, have I lived my life in such a way that it brings reproach upon the Lord and a reproach upon the Lord's church? We have to ask ourselves those questions. If we can help in any way, I'm glad to see y'all this evening. I thank you for being here. If we can help in any way, won't you come? While we stand and sing.